Well, hi everybody. I'm Mrs. McCallister. I have been a librarian at Liberty Middle School for the last 10 years, but I'm currently on a leave of absence for this year. So I miss seeing a lot of you current 7th and 8th graders, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite books. Particularly for you 6th graders that don't know me yet. This book starts with 6th grade, but it's a series, and then the next book is 7th grade, and the one after that covers 8th grade. And it's called The Strange Case of Origami Yoda. This book is by Tom Angleberger, who actually lives in the state of Virginia. So it's another reason why it's one of my favorites. I'm reading this book too because it's funny and it's very short. So if you're somebody who likes books that make you laugh, talk about middle school, but then are short because maybe you don't want to have to spend a whole lot of time reading something that might take you a month or 2 months to read, this might be the ticket for you. The publisher of this book is Amulet Books. You can see that right down here in New York City. And so I'm going to start reading this. I also like this book because it has a lot of artwork in the margins. You can see that. So it gives you something else to look at. There's some other graphics that are in there that make it interesting. And at the very end, this is one of my favorite things, but I can't do it. At the very end, there's an extra chapter that tells you how to fold Origami Yoda. And so it gives you step-by-step directions on how to make your own origami. And like I said, I'm not crafty, so I'm not very good at that, but I have tried. Okay, so Origami Yoda and Dwight. And this chapter is written by Tommy, and you'll see the chapters have different ones. And there's a picture he's done of Dwight. The big question, is Origami Yoda real? Well, of course he's real. I mean, he's a real finger puppet made out of a real piece of paper. But I mean, is he real? Does he really know things? Can he see the future? Does he use the Force? Or is he just a hoax that fooled a whole bunch of us at Macquarie Middle School? It's really, really important for me to figure out if he's real, because I've got to decide whether to take his advice or not. And if I make the wrong choice, I'm doomed. I don't want to get into all that yet. So for now, let's just say it's about this really cool girl, Sarah, and whether or not I should risk making a fool of myself for her. Origami Yoda says to do it, but if he's wrong, total humiliation. So I've got to know if he's real. I need solid answers. I need scientific evidence. That's why I went around and asked everyone who got help from Origami Yoda to tell their stories. Then I put all the stories together in this case file. Who knows, maybe this case file could even be useful if scientists ever decide to study Origami Yoda. To try to make it really scientific, I let my friend Harvey comment on each story. Harvey has never, ever believed in Origami Yoda, even for 1 second, and he still doesn't. In fact, he says he is 100% sure that Origami Yoda is just a green paper wad. So he tries to find the logical explanation for all the really weird things that happen. And then I commented on each story too, because after all, I'm the one who's trying to figure this whole thing out. My other friend Kellen wanted to help too, so I let him borrow the case file. Instead of adding anything useful, he just doodled all over it. I was mad at first, but actually some of the doodles almost look like people from school, so I didn't bother trying to erase them. And anyway, I don't have time for that. I've got to study this thing and make a decision. Is Origami Yoda real or isn't he? Oh yeah, one other thing I almost forgot about, Dwight. Dwight is the guy who carries Origami Yoda around on his finger. The strangest thing about Origami Yoda is that he's so wise, even though Dwight is a total loser. I'm not saying that as an insult, it's just a fact. Dwight never seems to do anything right. Always in trouble, always getting harassed by other kids, always picking his nose, always finding a way to ruin it for everyone, as the teachers say. If he would just listen to Origami Yoda's wisdom like the rest of us, he would have it made. But no, He ends up barfing in class because he ate 13 servings of canned peaches at lunch, or stealing a girl's shoe, or wearing shorts with his socks pulled up above his knees. He even manages to turn his good points into loser points. See, he is the total origami master of our school. First, he made cranes and frogs and all that, and then he started inventing his own stuff. Origami Yoda is not just a perfect paper version of Yoda, he's also Dwight's own design. Dwight's not the first person in the world to make an origami Yoda, of course. There are a bunch of them on the internet, but Dwight didn't download instructions. He actually created his own origami Yoda. But it's one thing to make a paper Yoda, and it's another to ask people to talk to it. That's what makes him a loser. You can't go around school with a paper Yoda on your finger talking to people. I bet even Origami Yoda would tell him that if he would just listen. Anyway, here's the first story, which happens to be about a girl, but not the girl, and shows how good it can be to listen to what Origami Yoda has to say. So I hope you'll check this book out. I believe there's several copies of it, and there might even be one on a tape maybe, so that you might be able to listen to it instead of having to read it. But I want to encourage you to read this. It is a whole series. Every book has origami in the back of it, and trust me, it's pretty funny. Thanks. Have a good read.